Dave,
John,
Shane,
Chad,
these sci-fi guys.
Welcome to these Sci-Fi guys. I'm your host, Dave, and of course, with me is Chad, John,
Hello.
and Shane.
What?
What's
Me?
up, everybody?
Did I forget somebody?
No,
No.
I'm being a doofus. It's fine.
It's okay. It's one of those weeks, right?
Yes.
It is. It is one of those weeks. I would agree.
very
All right. Hey, I'm so far enjoying this week. So I ordered something online. It came in early. Makes me very
Wow.
happy.
Nice.
That's always a
Waiting
win.
Yeah, I was expecting it tomorrow. Came in today. I was like, woohoo! Start recording.
Nice.
So anyway, we are talking. We're these sci-fi guys, and we are talking about the movie The Martian. No,
You-
not Marvin the Martian, but
It should have been.
The Martian. All right. What are we going with this? Oh, all right. We're gonna go behind the scenes, starting out. Was that really loud, or was that just my headphones?
No,
Yeah,
I think that one's you. I mean, it wasn't horrible on our end, at least for
Okay.
me.
It wasn't
Okay.
for me either.
Oh, good. All right. Okay. Well, we had a producer. I can't pronounce this guy's name, so I'm sorry. Adia Sud. He came across writer Andy Weir's self-published book called The Martian in 2013. It was selling on Amazon for 99 cents. Download.
That checks out.
Soon read the book and knew he found something incredible. So he brought it to his company. They gave the script to Ridley Scott. You guys all know Ridley Scott, the one that did
Yes.
Alien. He's done several other movies. He got it on Friday. And by Saturday, he called us and said, I'm in. 6 months later, they were in Budapest starting the filming. Okay. Ridley Scott, we already talked about Alien, but he did Prometheus. All right. The visual effects team had a post schedule of 34 weeks. The Martian had 24 after the original date was brought forward. This is one of the cool things that I thought I saw was a lot of this film was done CGI on a green screen. In other words, not necessarily CGI, completely computer generated, but mostly the backgrounds. All the foreground stuff was there. This was all done in Budapest. Some shots were well, here, just check this out. Here's the one. The first shot. If those of you that are not on YouTube, I'm sorry, you'd have to look at the pictures here to see it. Come to YouTube and watch them. So you got the picture there of Mark Wahlberg pulling the little cart, and you can see the green screen and all that around it.
Was it Mark
right?
Wahlberg in this?
Not Wahlberg.
Matt
Matt
Damon.
Damon.
I get the two of them mixed up. Sorry. So anyway, he's pulling the cart across, and then next slide. That is what you saw in the movie. I mean, that's just how they visually changed everything. Most of the scenes were predominantly in the Hab. Were filmed in Budapest, and some of them were acquired in the Wadi Rum Desert in Jordan. All right. I thought that was pretty cool. So here's a before and after. You can see the original palette on the left, and then the final shot on the right, and what they had to do to get all that, to film that. One of the big things is, they were basically playing with the hue on the film stuff. I mean, I figured John would really enjoy a lot of the filmography on this movie because of how much they had to
makes the film.
What's that?
It's called color grading, and it makes every film what it is.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you can see that the stuff they've added to the sky and everything, And one of the big things, and that's why I put this picture up here. One of the big things that they had a lot of issues with was the reflection in his helmet. So they had to make sure all of the blue was taken out of that, and it still had that same hue, that same feel. When you looked at his helmet, you still felt the same thing. Almost like when we went back to let me go back to the original picture here, how it's that kind of a orangish tint and all that. So yeah. Okay. All right. There is his infamous where he's lost all this weight scene, right? That's not Matt Damon.
No.
Not at all. Ridley Scott basically says he is not interested in prolonging or altering the film schedule of The Martian to allow time for Damon to lose the weight to a convincing amount of weight. Basically, they chose a shorter route by using a body double.
Okay.
That was about it. I mean, there was so much background stuff on this. I really didn't want to go into the weeds on everything. But I did want to talk about the budget. Budget was $108 million. John, did they make money?
Yes, I can almost. I feel like it.
Okay, so you're saying yes. Does anybody else think it did not make any money?
It did not make money.
I think it did.
You think it did? Chad says no.
I said no money on this. They blew it.
Okay, you think they blew it? Well, it grossed $228 million in North America. 402. That's million. I didn't type it in there right. Internationally, for a total of $630.6 million on a budget of $100 million. I'd say they made their money.
Yeah, I would say so.
Release date was October 2nd, 2015. So take that as you will. Who's the one that picked this movie? I don't remember.
God.
You. Okay. Boom. Let's put you up there. I like to hide the little StreamYard logo because I got all this other stuff behind me, so it kind of fades in with it all.
There you go.
So next, let's go ahead and go with our questions. All right, John, go with your questions.
All right. So to me, this film did a fairly decent job of hitting science actually pretty well, at least from what I remember college astronomy classes. But overall, I think it definitely, there's a lot there. There's a lot to this film. And what I want to know is if you guys think there's a point where it went from being realistic to crazy for you guys as well, because to me, there was definitely a time when it just, to me, I was like, oh, we're no longer really sciencing and we're now Hollywooding. And there was a point in the film for that. So if y'all felt that way as well, at what point did that happen for you guys?
So I think the point for me was in the retrieval part, when he was actually leaving the planet and he was going to rendezvous with the I can't think of what, the Hermes when it was coming back around, and just the plan that they had for getting him up there and receiving him and everything was very, very much Hollywood. Could it have worked? I think so. But at the same point, it was that to me is one of the points. I think there's a couple of others too. But that was one of the big ones where I felt like, okay, we have shifted from realistic NASA science, moving more to Hollywood plot.
Oh, I wish I had a drop that said "I am Iron Man," but I don't have that one.
Yeah,
but go ahead, Chad.
Go ahead. Yeah, I kind of agree with
go ahead.
Shane. Kind of agree with Shane on there. Right when they were getting all that plot, all that idea, sounds like they get off from Looney Tunes from Riley Coyote. Like, how's it going to work? At the end, it rigged something up and brought, I want to be Iron Man. They should have done something better.
For me, I'm actually way before on that. Mine was when he took the guy's cross and basically cut it up to make it into an explosive device, that was supposed to just burn. There's only a finite amount of time you're going to be able to burn that for, not for 200 and some odd, 260 souls or whatever it was. that cross would not have lasted that long. And if he's supposedly this is what's producing water and all this other stuff, I just thought it kind of got a little far-fetched from just the beginning part from then. And then especially, so you guys already talked on the retrieval, but even back up before that part when they were the whole, the ship is great and everyone's celebrating and you're like, why are you celebrating? The thing's going to blow up. It's it's going to blow up because you're celebrating. You don't celebrate until it's actually out into space. And then there's, with the way he was taught with the way Glover, I can't think of his first name. Brian Glover? Danny Glover? No. Danny? Donald Glover, yeah. Anyway, the way he was, because he was the scientific guy and he's like, hey, well, we have to speed it up. And especially with the way they made it matching up there just so in slow motion to, okay, we're going to meet up and, that was about the only really far-fetched part in the movie for me, that part. And then, of course, getting him home. But I digress. Go ahead. Next question. Or yourself.
I would say
yourself. You need to tell
agree, at least on the planning side. I think when they started to come up with plans, we started super realistic and practical, and then we just went completely crazy and off the wall and said, yeah, we're just going to try this crazy plan and let them decide. And I don't know. That's when things took a turn. And Dave, to your point with the cross burning, I don't think it was burning the whole time. I think it was just to get the hydrogen rolling, if I remember correctly.
Maybe.
I don't think it was meant to stay the whole time. He just needed something to kickstart an actual flame, right?
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
so.
Yeah, you could be right. Yeah, I could have misinterpreted it.
Because I think it was the hydrogen supply. But anyway, I digress. On that note, especially the retrieval side, I think it lends itself to the next question, which accidentally I think very well timed with current events, considering we have finally gotten some astronauts, or at least a ship up to astronauts to get them back. And the basic question is, yeah. Would a government agency go to such lengths to save one astronaut if this were to happen realistically? And more specifically, I think this idea of one astronaut in Mars, that is a much longer trip than, say, the moon or even in orbit like the space station. Would they go to such lengths to save one person that far out, especially if they thought he was dead to begin with?
No. Honestly, I hate to say it. It depends. Is it run by the military or if it's run by civilians? It depends. If it's military, no man left behind. They're going to go ahead and get him back. Civilians, and they're going to look at the penny pinchers and they're going to say it's going to cost this much to get them back. No, it's not worth it. So
yeah, I agree with that. No, I don't think if it's civilians, I agree with Dave. It'd be cost effective. It took this much to get them that mission out there. Cost this much to get the mission back. Now it's going to cost us double of that trying to get the one person back to save them. I don't think it would. I don't think it's not feasible.
Well, let me go back for a second. If it was, say, a Neil Armstrong or someone that had been on Time magazine, People, what I'm saying, it was a big name person. Okay, I'm just gonna throw it out there. William Shatner. Let's just say, he's been in space, but let's just say it was somebody that was big named, high influence. Yes, they definitely would try to get it, because then they would know, they'd be able to use all that PR. Hey, look who we're trying to save, rather than just, hey, we're saving Mark, this astronaut, he's a botanist.
Yeah.
So he did grow plants on Mars.
He did.
Shane?
I agree. I would say that they probably would not. But man, what a great story. And how great was it whenever the guy who wanted he wanted, I guess he was in charge of the crew or whatever, but he wanted the crew to know about him from the very get-go, and they said, no, we're not going to tell him right now. We got to figure this out. Whenever he sent the message to them through email to let them decide to overrule NASA, just how great a storyline was that. But Realistically versus Hollywood, no, I don't think they would.
Fair. I mean, I completely agree. I don't necessarily think. I mean, even if the name is high enough, I think realistically, if we're talking the trip back to Mars, there are so many factors. Maybe we put in an effort, but I think if we put in the effort and we get the ship exploding like we did, I think at that point we call it off. You know what I mean? I don't think we go past that point. We might try it. I could see us trying something, getting supplies there or whatever, especially since it seems like they've made multiple trips at this point. But there's a point where I was like, there's no way we would realistically continue to try past that point. Like, okay, either lives or he doesn't. And at that point, it's on him. And realistically, we thought he was dead to begin with. I don't see a government agency spending that much to go after one person. And if they did, they wouldn't go past the point where it failed. So that's kind of where I landed. Now, in regards to the government agency, NASA in the film is largely over much of the ongoings of this operation, and there were a lot of people at play in positions at power. In the film, who did you think was right more times than not? Like, in your opinion, which one was right more often?
I'll say the guy that was trying to tell the crew, hey, we should tell the crew. You got to think, he's over the pilots, he's over the astronauts. He's got, to me, is they need to know what the mission is. They need to know, hey, you might have thought you lost Mark, but we just found him something miracle. Somebody's alive at that site, and it could possibly be Mark. Just let them know. So they had them sitting there worried for 2 months before they finally got told. Yeah, the astronauts, the guy was over on, I forget the guy's name, but yeah, I think that guy was the more realistic.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about Mitch Henderson, the guy that was Sean Bean? He was the one that was in charge of the crew.
Yes.
Yeah, him. Okay. As for me, I'm going to say Wong was right all the way. I mean, he was right in Doctor Strange. He was right in this movie. I mean, don't mess with him. He knows what he's talking about. He's like, he was able to get the stuff done, get fixed and all that. But I mean, other than what was the character? Where is he? Other than Jeff Daniels, basically, Teddy Sanders, he was the guy in charge of NASA. Basically, he was the spokesperson. What was one of the first questions the reporters asked him? Does anyone remember?
Mm-mm.
Are you going to resign over this? That was one of the first questions they asked. So from that point on, it was a cover your rear end type move in his part. Same with the female executive. I can't remember her name. They both were just kind of like, hey, what do we need to cover ourselves to make sure that we don't get bad press and all that? Because even when what's his name? Here we go. Vincent. When Vincent, when they were like, okay, no more having Vincent on the TV or him being recorded, because he was basically trying to give them some hope, but they were like, well, you're promising things that we can't say is going to happen. So, it seems like most of the NASA employees, other than supervisors, were realistic all the way across the board. Other than them,
Yeah.
they were the ones that were just trying to cover the company.
Mm-hmm.
Think also, and this is not necessarily based on the just the crew excuse me, just the crew that was on Earth, but the actual crew that it went to Mars. I think the commander, who was played by Jessica Chastain, I think she did a great job, and I think that she had a lot of things that she was very, very in tune with, and I think that you really felt for her because, as leaders do, she took on the responsibility. She took on the fact that, hey, We thought he was dead. We understand that everything happened, but I still left him. So she even said, like, when they were talking about whether to go back, she's like, if this was up to me, we'd be going now. So I just think that she really had a lot of foresight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, fair. And truthfully, I think really this comes down to the type of right you want. And I think you all kind of hit different aspects of that. In terms of NASA employees, mathematically right, scientifically right, pretty spot on. If you want to talk business sense, the head of NASA, pretty spot on. If you want to talk ethically right, Chad, that guy, spot on. So I know it's a bit of a political answer from me, but I think it really depends on what type of right you're looking for. Because if you put the right framework around it, most of them are generally right. It's just they wouldn't have agreed with each other with the routes they were trying to take, if that makes sense. So they weren't necessarily wrong. It's just they wanted different things. And I think that made a big difference in the way things went. So, all right, looking a little more real world here. How far away do you think we currently are in regards to making it to Mars? And not just to Mars. I mean, obviously we've made it to Mars with rovers, but how far until we at least have feet on Mars?
The next science fiction movie.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm sorry. Look, we're not even on the moon anymore, and it seems to me that, especially, I mean, when you I know I joke around about Elon Musk and them sending their rocket up there to save the people at International Space Station. Think about it. Our International Space Station is a tiny little thing that's just sitting up there, they're watching stuff, they're doing stuff, but we don't really even, I mean, do we even have a shuttle program anymore? We really don't. You look at the Hermes and the way it was designed. I mean, it's light years ahead of anything we have now. It makes the International Space Station look like a Tonka truck. I mean, so I mean, unless we really get off I mean, if you're talking man on the moon or man on the Mars, actually being a Martian, I'm thinking 50 years plus, not in our lifetime. That's just me.
I kind of agree with that, Dave. It's not going to be I don't think it'll be in my lifetime. It's because where we are right now, there's no NASA program really. The only person that's really trying is Elon Musk, trying to get just sitting. If you look at it, got two people. How many people can fit in that one little small rocket? So it's going to be years before we even see something up there again. I think we need to focus on the moon, not Mars. Get back to it.
Space 1999, baby. Yeah, that's right.
There you go. I think we're probably far away from it, but my scientific curiosity side really wants us to be closer than we are. I just think it would be such a cool thing. I think also when you talk about some of the technological moves that we've done, including SpaceX and different things like that, and also the fact that we actually have a branch of government that is looking into how to protect and defend space with Space Force. I mean, I think that if you're thinking about things like that, you have to be working towards a goal. And I wouldn't be surprised if, because of those things that we're looking to, if it was sooner rather than later. But again, that's kind of my hopeful scientific side, when probably the realistic side is we've probably got a while. But I kind of hope not.
Well, I guarantee you guys.
Go ahead.
I guarantee you guys we are closer than we've ever been.
I agree with that.
There's no doubt about that. Time only
That is
moves
true.
forward. But overall, I think, Dave, I think you're most right in probably past 50, but I don't think as far as I would have used to have said. Like you put me in like just starting college, I'm probably thinking 200-300 years out, if that, because things really had kind of died down. But just the progress we've made since the 60s, and then not only that, but the exponential progress we've made. Like, we went from just sending people into space and then onto the moon to now we can like retrieve boosters and stuff, which makes it a whole different field. I definitely think it pushes the timeline closer to us. Part one and part two, I think it really depends on how much we want to focus on it, because we've made leaps and bounds of technology in regards to quantum computing now, leaps and bounds with AI. And I think if you start to combine those two, I think that technology could send us to Mars sooner if we choose to use both of the. I think using quantum and AI together, because quantum ultimately leads to better AI leads to better programs leads to easier space access, and being able to do it so efficiently that I think it'll be easier. It's just, at what point does it become our focus that those things line up? Because I think those things are going to line up a lot sooner for military programs, government programs, maybe even stock programs. Like, there's going to be other things that have a mindset of priority. Whereas, like, if space becomes a priority, or the ocean even becomes a priority, I mean, like, we could explore those much deeper than we ever have. They just need to be the priority. So current priorities, yeah, I agree, definitely further out. Shifting priorities using technology that we've made leaps and bounds on, I think it could be sooner.
It's possible. Yeah.
Well, you think you put an AI into space, you'll get what we watched a couple movies ago. Sorry, Dave, I can't do that.
No, that just because it was in space didn't mean that it was inherently bad. It was just had conflicting, like in a conflicting operating system. It didn't know which way to go. So
Yeah.
True.
But luckily, we have not really talked about AI here. We have talked about other stuff.
Yeah.
Just kind of piggyback on what John was saying. You see our little doohickey right here? Okay. We've got all the information at our fingertips for pretty much anything right here. My generation, no, you had to go to the library, and you had to go to a thing called, dictionaries and encyclopedias, and you had to take time to look. I mean, now we could just say, "Hey, Google," or "Hey, Siri," or whatever, and they'll tell us,
Well,
And like John was saying, technology is moving at such a high rate of speed. I mean, computers were not anything that I ever thought about, when I was younger, but to have four guys at four different locations talking exactly at the same time on video, and we can hear each other, speak to each other real time. There's no lag, and we never would have thought of that. So, I mean, really anything is possible. So
anything is possible. You have to think. Look at the old astronauts. They used to have to compute all the equations in their head, or using a what? They might know more about slide rule. It's all in their head. So think about it. I still say 50 years out, even more. You have people all more worried about what Dave just brought up, their cell phones to get the information off of.
This is it right here. It's all about money. Does the government or personal people want to invest money into that to make it happen? NASA was just all the shuttle missions where they would go up and fly around, then land. So yeah, there was a lot of tragedy with those, and there was other great things, but in essence, they really didn't do much. It was a stepping stone, but a lot of people can say, well, where's the money? Where's the results? And so that's why they kind of said, all right, you know what? We're not going to have the shuttle missions anymore because it wasn't results. So, although they, things like Velcro and stuff were all made because of that, so I think there was results. It was just in a roundabout
Not the
way.
results we were looking for.
True.
Not the results they were looking for. They were looking for Skynet, but Okay, let's look for some plot holes. All right, gentlemen. And have you guys seen some serious plot holes, or even just ones that just kind of you went, huh?
Yeah, I saw
Understand it.
one, but even the guy that I like with being the ethical side, I keep forgetting his name, but when he sent the email showing, hey, here's a way to overrule NASA, right then and there, the next day when the director of NASA found out, so hey, I expect your resignation at the end of this. That would have been there. They should have just went, you're fired. Bye. That's just security. You messed up. Should have let him go right then and there, not let him stay on his job. Even
Yeah.
though that that was the right move to go, the ethical move, but he went in order. So he should have been let go right then and there. So that's one major one I found.
I think the redneck yeehaw airbag into space deployment to meet up with Hermes. I think that was 100% a plot hole. There's no chance he survives that at all. I don't care what we're throwing at it. Also, the fact that was the plan. No, like you've spent all this money turning Hermes around just to make him dismantle half a ship. And you're trying to rescue him. It doesn't seem like you're trying to rescue him at that point. It seems like you're just trying to make it in sooner.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know. You're okay. Let's just say you're flying, then eject those windows because he knows he just pulled handles and then the windows went shooting off. Eject them after you take off if that's what you have to do. But yeah, I'm sorry. No,
That's theory to lose
a spacesuit's designed to hold a lot, but I don't think that much. Yeah.
It's like I said, it was Wiley Coyote's plan all along. Let's see how far can we push this. Make it look.
All right.
Yeah.
Shane, how about you? Did you see anything?
I did. So my biggest ones were related to the science, kind of like what John was talking about. One of the things when you talk about Mars versus Earth is that how Matt Damon was moving around on Mars was very, very similar to Earth. And just some of the things that I found very quickly was that on Mars versus on Earth, there would be a lot of things a lot different. For example, the atmosphere for Mars is 1% as dense as on Earth. Okay. So number one, the big storm at the beginning probably would not have been as strong as it was in the movie. Now, granted, it's for effect and everything. Now, if you wanted to do like a sandstorm or something like that, that would have been cool. That would have been something that you could have mixed in that may have been a little more realistic. And then also just like some things like with the gravity and things like that would have been different on Mars. But one of the things that I got, and I understand why they did it because they wanted the effect, but the communication speed when he was on the Pathfinder, okay, from going that far from Earth to Mars probably would not have been an instantaneous reply whenever you're sending messages back and forth. One of the things even said here, it could have taken like 12 to 24 minutes because of the distance. So I mean, having those instantaneous responses most likely would not have happened. I mean, I get why they did it for the movie plot, but realistically, that probably would not have happened.
Yeah, I didn't think that they were instantaneous. I think it was a delay, but they made it look like it wasn't a delay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they did mention it takes 28 minutes or 23 minutes to get there.
Oh, okay. I missed that. I'm sorry. I missed that.
I think I saw that, but I was just like, yeah. But then when the ship got closer, then they were able to talk directly, and I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I kind of see that, but
they did say in Mission Control that hey, by the time that they're having problems, they can hey, it's going to take 24 minutes to get back to us, and at the same time to get to them. The thing's already done. You can't sit there and wait 48 minutes to get a reply back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
John, how about you?
I mean, other than redneck yeehaw, I think a lot of what we talked about in regards to retrieval in general, I think was just unrealistic and a little overzealous. Outside of that, I didn't see any major minus
I mean,
taking forever on the side of that hub.
yeah, I mean there was lots of minor ones that I saw, you know. I mean,
More,
of all the people that went there, how many were there? There was 6,
yeah.
and you're telling me only one person brought any music.
Yep.
I'm just saying, you know, only one person brought disco music. She was the only one.
Well, she's the
know.
commander. She gets to pick.
Yeah, I'm sorry if
Paired up music.
I got a phone that's got like 500 songs on it, you know. I mean, or at least have your own downloaded Spotify playlist or something, you know.
No, see, this came out in 2015. He should at least had some kind of MP3 player, non-Apple.
Yeah, exactly. Or well, could have been an iPod. Okay. Yeah. Blah 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 blah. What was that thing that he put in the back of his in the Pathfinder that warmed him up?
Was it a plutonium?
Plutonium core cell.
Yeah, okay. The dude would have
Radioactive
died of
material.
radiation by the time all that, you know, just by the I mean, I'm sorry, you know, you're just sitting there, oh, it's warm, but you're dying.
Yeah,
why didn't he use that to hook up and use that as a power source or something?
He would have been dead by the time they get back to Earth.
100%, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. And then of course my biggest one, water is obviously plant. You know, it's there's hardly any of it, right? He had to do all this stuff, but right before he was getting ready to take his long trip, he decides to take a shower.
True.
You know,
Well, trying to use up every last bit of it.
Generation plant.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, John, your camera went wacky.
Yeah, I see that, and I'm very confused.
Okay, while John's trying to figure that out, let's go ahead and rate this thing. All right. So in this part, we are going to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 5 lightsabers. John, you picked this movie. We're going to let you start.
Okay, fair enough. So you know, this is what happens when your phone dies midway through, even though you plugged it in as you're going. You know, so here we are. Anyway, let's see if I can get this rolling in. Boom, right in time.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed this film, just holistically. I did. I think it's a nice little blockbuster. I think it obviously did well in the box office for a reason. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that one actor could kind of carry the film in the parts that he needed to. And overall, I think there was a huge mix of funny, serious. We're going to make you think things are okay, and then they're suddenly not. Like, I think there was a lot of good mixture of story elements that you needed, and they were at the right times. I think it was just well timed, well played, well filmed. Yeah, plot holes, but a lot of the other films we've watched like this have had plot holes. I would definitely watch this 100% again. And at least for me, especially first watch through, I definitely think it rates a 5. I might go back later, and it might not. I mean, just truth be told, because a lot of the movies we have watched that I have rated 5 in the past, I've seen in some capacity before. And if it still gets a 5 on a second watch through, it's definitely worth it. So at least first watch through for me was a 5.
Okay, Chad.
Oh, you really want to go to me this time? Okay, let's do this.
Yes, I am.
So, John, unfortunately, I don't agree with you. I watched this before. I didn't seek to get out to watch it again because I love the okay. Let me get this wrong. The movie was great. The Matt Damon, it was probably the few stars on this movie carried it because there's very few scenes you see a lot of actors in. I would probably watch it again, but I wouldn't seek it out. So my rating is a 2.
It's fair. I'll give you credit for that, Chad.
Yeah. Shane, how about you?
I think this film is a total masterclass. I think that the character development is unbelievable. They do a great job of building up Matt Damon's character, making you care about him, showing a lot of his different sides. You see a lot of the desperation. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that, especially at the very beginning when he realized he was left, because I think anybody would kind of freak out with the fact that you're left on Mars and most likely going to die on Mars. But I think it showed a lot of different facets of his character. I love the humor. I thought it was great. Thought it was a great way to relieve the tension. I love the 70s music. I think that the film composer, who actually was the same film composer as who was in Soldier, okay, which we did last time. So it's Harry Gregson Williams. I thought he did a phenomenal job with this. And what he did was he actually scored very lightly so that he could really focus on the tension. So it was not your classic space epic kind of thing of what you would think of, but he really did a lot of underlying things to build the tension, to make some of the scenes very reflective. I thought he did a magnificent job with that. But I just think Ridley Scott with everything on this film just did a great job. Love the character development, love the storyline. I mean, I got to go with John. I got to give it a 5. I thought it was a fantastic movie.
Wow. So 5, 5, 2. And then mine.
What a mix.
Well, let's see here. I can already tell you that I don't agree with Chad. I'm sorry. I've seen this movie before, and I was on the edge of my seat again watching it. It's not a 5. I can tell you all that. I will go ahead and rate this a 4 because I went back and looked at, like, okay, what do I rate 4s at? And I looked at the different movies. We did 9 this year earlier, and some of the other ones that we rated last year. And I was like, you know what? It's not a 4.5. It's close, very close to 4.5, but it's a very solid 4 for me. So
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, that bumped up my numbers.
Yeah, I gotta be critical on this one. I'm sorry. It's
all right. Different people like that. I mean, that's one thing. I did want to talk about that before we got to the next part. Is I look at I keep track of different places that we're broadcasting to, and I really want to hear from some of you guys out there. We will really want to hear from you guys because, I mean, you guys can't see it, but you can see there's all these different countries all over the world that are tuning into these sci-fi guys. I mean, we have people in Russia, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, Australia, Portugal, Argentina, Canada, Uganda, Germany, Poland, the Czech Republic. I mean, that's when we started this thing 3 years ago. I never expected anything like that, and it's just the coolest thing ever. So if any of you guys are in any of those countries and you guys can email us, please do. If you can't, you can leave a comment. Spotify, you can leave a comment on YouTube, you can leave a comment on Apple Podcasts, whatever. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can. Well, since none of us other than Chad might want to fix this movie, but the rest of us just want to improve it. Okay, how are we going to fix or improve this movie? As most of us rated it pretty high, so I don't think we need to fix anything. I mean, there are a few fixes. I'll go and start then since I'm talking. Okay, if your oxygen is at critical level, you should not have to walk what looks like a mile away to get back to the I'm sorry. There was too many times where I heard oxygen critical. I was just like, okay, you repeated it too many times. If you're going to do with that, do it once or twice and then be done with it.
Agreed.
I think they definitely missed out on the lack of gravity. When we went back and I was thinking of the movie Gravity, and even like thinking of Moonfall, that we watched a few weeks ago. To me, if the moon is, I mean, if there is hardly any gravity on the moon, there's hardly any gravity on Mars, also. And to me, they should have moved like there was no gravity or very little gravity on Mars. I would have liked to have seen them tell the crew immediately, because that was another plot hole that I had. Hey, those guys were gotten messages back and forth from Earth to their families. I guarantee you one of them would have said, hey, what'd you think about Mark not making it back? We're so sorry, and nobody ever mentioned it. So that would have, if they got messages back and forth between their families, somebody would have mentioned it.
Yeah.
But to me, it should have been the crew. You tell the crew what's going on. It's the crew's idea to say, we need to turn around. How do we do it? Start talking to NASA. We want to go back and get him. We don't care how long it takes. Let us go back and do this, and not have it just the commander wanting to do it, but all of them, so, and I just think that would be better to me. And then, he needs to have a good, when they meet up, get rid of that whole Iron Man hair out of the hand, oh, I want to be Iron Man. Okay, keep it a little funny, but don't make everything that happens have to be a big, let that be, you've been on the edge of your seat for so long. Let that be the, okay, he made it back, no problem, type. And then just end it there. You don't have to go back. And then why would Michael Pena go back in space again?
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
I was like, really? You're going to go back in space? I mean, one of them was an instructor. Another one was playing golf. Another one was or two of them were having a baby, which I thought was funny. That was Sebastian Stan. The guy, the Bucky from.
Yep, Bucky.
He didn't even look like him. So I guess long hair does quite a bit different, make you look quite a bit different. But I love the cast. I mean, I do like the music. I wouldn't mind if they would have changed it to 80s. I kind of like the 80s a little better, but I grew up in the 70s. I was born in the 60s, grew up in the 70s and 80s. So, I was singing along with all those songs as they were playing them. So, I mean, to me, I'm like, hey, that's fine. But that's just minor tweaks. That's all I would say. Minor tweaks.
I go. Thing is, I might rate this as 2. It wasn't for the movie being bad. Yeah, it was a good movie, but it was not my taste of what the amount of fit, like the fit scenes. Why the suit they was wearing? Then he had to change the actual old school astronaut suit to go up in space. They would have been in that suit all the time, not that little small. Because gravity fits the be weighing them down. I agree with Shane. I would like to see more character, more Matt Damon's role instead of them back on Earth trying to figure out how to get there. Just more longer scenes with him and struggling to get by, not how I'm going to get them home. And then, let agree with Dave. Let the Iron Man scene go. We don't need that. Either, hey, I'm going to be doing Iron Man and have a fire extinguisher which should have been in that shuttle anyway.
Well, no, that's Gravity. That's what she did in Gravity. And I remember we all, Shane didn't watch Gravity with us, but we all blasted the movie because, you're going to use a fire extinguisher to shoot yourself across to another ship. This is the same aspect. Just get rid of that. That's dumb. That's the only part that's, you get rid of that. It may be a 4.5 for me.
It was a 4 for me.
Yes, they were comical about it, but still, it's like, oh, come on.
I would have done that. I'd rather seen that instead of poke a hole in my glove. I can do it. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna go out there, blow the ship up. Let me do it. Let me do it. The little fits like that. That I agree. Like, take it out, or if you'll make it comical, do the fire extinguisher. Do something else that's not going to mess up your suit, because air getting your astronaut suit, I don't think it's not good for you.
It's
Science.
it's gosh, what's the company? It's Seagate bad. Whatever the
Yeah.
the
There you go.
submarine
Seagate.
does.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes that bad if you depressurize the suit in space.
True.
So,
True.
Yeah.
No
Well, it's
bueno.
like what is it? What happens to divers when they're down so low, then they come up way too quickly? Is it-
Then
hypoxia.
that's when they expand.
Yeah.
You get rapid
Yeah, but-
expansion of the blood
Yeah.
vessels, and blood
Mhm.
vessels can pop, or if the air gets trapped and things just kind of bulge, or they could bulge and pop, and which that's way worse.
Mhm.
But yeah, same idea.
Yeah.
Okay, who's next?
I'll go. I really don't have many fixes. I would say I would like to have a little bit more of the scientific aspects, like the gravity and the density and everything, be a little more realistic. But it wasn't to the point to where I felt like it was far fetched, I guess is the way to say it. I would have liked to have had a little bit more at the beginning, where they were talking about how where you kind of set up them being on Mars. When the movie started, they're already on there. They're already kind of settling in, and then the storm goes, and then they leave. That felt kind of quick to me. Felt like it needed a little bit more of them on Mars working together, and then the storm comes in or whatever to make them leave. I would have thought. The other thing, I'm trying to remember. The other thing was I would have liked, and I mentioned this earlier, I would have liked to have seen a little more of Matt Damon's character when he first found out that he was stranded, having a little bit more of a depressive state, I guess, or a little
Yeah,
more of
yeah.
a worried
Emotions.
state, because yes. A little more emotion, just because I mean, yes, we found out through the movie he is very resilient. He is very much a problem solver. But anybody who is faced with the fact of, I'm probably going to die here because nobody even knows I'm alive to even come and get me, would go through that kind of scenario where you're basically depressed and you don't know where to turn to. So I would have liked to have seen a little more of that, and then work up into the, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna make this work. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
For
obviously
me,
pack more ketchup.
And more ketchup.
More. For me, you guys know I'm the crazy idea guy when it comes to fixes. But really, it's not necessarily a crazy idea so much as the what is now becoming more common. But I would have thrown in like an expectation subversion here. I think I would have made the very end crux of the film the moment that ship blew up that was supposed to send him supplies. I would have had us leading up to that, made that kind of the central point of like, no, this is a plan we're following through on. And there are a few options I think I would go from that point. Either in the film, after getting a little more emotionally invested in the fact that that is the plan, it's set, we could make that slow-mo blow up, and just the slow-mo of that ship blowing up, and then like cut to black, and that's it in film.
Roll
I think that would have
credits.
been very emotionally heavy. I think that would have driven home a point. And I think you could also drive home that point, fade to black, not quite roll credits, 2 months later, and everybody's just living their life, something like that. Like something that we got so driven into, and then life goes on. I think you could have really driven that a little further. However, this is based off of a novel. I don't actually know the novel. It may have been part of the novel that we had this crazy stuff happening. But I just think driving it emotionally that way, I think would have been a phenomenal artistic move that really could have just changed the film entirely, realistically. And it's, to me, it's technically a small thing. Like, you just end the film there. So there's that. Outside of that, this is just I'm going to have a science side note on the Mars gravity thing. Mars would definitely, you'd be set because Mars is about the same size as Earth. So we're set. The reason gravity is lower on the moon is because it's about a sixth of the size. Therefore, there's about a sixth of the gravity. So we don't change sizes, but the places we visit do. The good news is Mars is about the same size as Earth, about the same size gravity. So that one, not a plot hole. I'll give it that.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Here's an idea. I want to continue on with yours. When you say, okay, fade to black, then have an after credit scene where then he's able to they go back and then they're like, hey, the rover's moved, the Pathfinder's moved, and then hey, Martian Part 2.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
there we go.
You know what I'm saying?
voyage
That
home.
would be, that's how an end credit, an after credit scene's supposed to be, where they're like, wait a minute, why are those things wiped off? Why is this lander
Yes.
has been moved? Boom.
Well,
or the explosion, and then directed by Michael Bay.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Well, the thing is, it's like they said the Ares 4 stuff was already there. Why didn't they just say, hey, you go down there and get the supplies from there and just figure them back? He already wait.
Well, because they didn't, to me that should have been the movie. You're right,
Yeah.
Chad. Is how do we get you from this point to this point if that stuff's already there so you can eat?
Mhm.
How can we figure out how to get you to take these things, basically how to MacGyver the whole thing together and get you over there so you can eat until we can get our next mission there.
Then
Right.
roll to
Fair.
black, Martian 2.
The voyage home.
Yeah.
The voyage home.
Like I said, I enjoyed this movie. It's just, it wasn't, it could have been a little bit more realistic than what it was.
That's fair.
Well, one of the things I really liked about this movie is obviously it's something different that we didn't have any bad guy, we didn't have an alien that we had to fight against or anything, but they didn't make countries we typically are not getting along with into this bad type of personality. You know what I'm saying? They made China into a really good light,
Mhm.
which I was very pleased with. So many times where they're like, oh, well, that country is, they're so closed off, they won't help anybody but themselves or this or that, and they didn't do that. They really made it, okay, this is a worldwide thing. Now, to me, going back to what Shane, how he likes to say is the buildup, to me, they should have built up and shown that the world is all united in this.
Mhm.
I mean, they did
Yep.
kind of little bits and pieces here and there, but to me, they could have done a little bit more on that part, and I really enjoyed how they made other countries, not just, America, but they made other countries look good in this movie. How
Yeah.
they were all behind the rescue operations and all that.
Yeah. I agree.
So, all right.
Crypto Enterprise.
Please contact us. Tell us if you agree with our ratings or how you would fix or improve this movie, or if there's a movie that you would like us to review. The easiest way to do that is if you're watching us on YouTube is to comment below. For those of you that are audio only listeners, you can reach us on either X or Facebook at TheseSciFiGuys. Or you could email us, TheseSciFiGuys@gmail.com. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. Those of you in some of those other countries, we want to hear from you. Definitely. Whether it's in the comments, whether it's email, whether it's smoke screen. I don't care. we want to hear from you guys. Next movie up. Let's see who chose the next movie. I think it was Shane. Shane chose the next movie. Shane, you want to tell us what it is?
Yes, I believe our next movie is The Core. Am I correct on that?
That's right, The
Yes.
Core. Has anyone never seen this movie besides
What do you
John?
mean? I would say, what do you mean?
Dad, have you seen this movie?
I've seen this movie long ago.
Okay. Shane, have you seen this movie? I know you picked it, but have you seen it?
I have seen this movie many times.
Okay. So John will be the only newbie on this one then. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always John. I'm sorry, John.
No, that's one thing that's really
Yeah.
cool about this is, we've got all aspects. You got kind of Chad and I who have seen a lot of stuff, and then Shane's kind of in between, and then John's kind of our newbie. So it's great, But yeah, the core. I'll be interested to see what you guys think of this. It's been several. I don't know what's the word. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. I think the last time I saw it, I was still active duty. So, and I've been retired for at least 10 years or more. So it's been a while. Anyway, I have a new saying that I would like to start saying every time.
Okay.
All right. No, we're still keeping ours. Ours is still is going to be there. This is just my personal saying. Is I remember we went back and we watched Buckaroo Banzai in the first season, and it still sticks with me. And his quote is, "No matter where you go, there you are." So until next
I
time,
like it.
Crash and burn.
The Sci-Fi Guys is an independent broadcast by The Sci-Fi Guy Productions. Super Epic is music courtesy of Alexander Nakarita and is found on creatorchords.com. For more information on upcoming episodes, follow us on X at The Sci-Fi Guys. For our audio-only listeners, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, subscribe, or leave a comment to let us know how we're doing.